back, guys. Hopefully that video started out with me doing a wicked cool donut on this guy. Obviously it probably looked a little different, but we're going to be starting here, putting together the 300EX here. In the last video, in part one, if you haven't seen it, go check it out if you want to see a complete teardown of a 300EX to the bare frame. If not, just continue watching this one because we're going to be putting it back together. My opinion, that's a little bit more interesting, but it had to be done. Might as well document it. As you can see, I already put together this side. I did record it, but I didn't like how it turned out. But obviously I wasn't going to take it back off. So I'll just record this one in a little bit better way, in my opinion. So these are 250R A-arms. It's going to add +2 to it. And then 400EX hubs. So the reason why I went with these A-arms is because the top ball joint here is adjustable to help with my camber. I was planning on running 400EX shocks, which are down there on the ground, but without any weight on the frame, I wasn't able to get them in there because of how tall they are. So I'm just going to run the 300EX ones for right now. I would like to see what type of reservoir shocks I can get for this thing, like Honda 450R or even YFZ 450. Depending on how big the shock mount is on those. I tried some Warrior ones that I have, and they're too big, so I'll have to play around. So anyways, this is that painted frame that I had to strip down. I'm really against spray painting frames, but this one looked so bad that I went ahead and painted it as close to factory color as I could get. It came out pretty good. I used engine enamel, and it's pretty durable stuff, so I'm hoping for the best here. Anyways, we're going to get assembling today. I'm hoping to have this most of the way done by the end of today. So let me get you guys set up. Hopefully got a good view, and we're going to start putting together the side here. So really the only modifications you need to make to these bushing inserts, the metal pieces, you just got to take them out of the 250R or the 400EX and put in the 300EX ones, a little bit more narrow, and then you use the same hardware from the 300EX because the 250R and 400EX are wider. And over the years, your tabs might have been sucked in just from being bolted on and off. So you might have to bend out your tab just a hair, like I'm going to have to with that one. Put that there. No weight on this thing. That went through. Put the nuts on. On the other side, I put the top A-arm on first, and then it was just in the way the entire time, trying to get this bottom one on, you know, keep it flopping down. So, learn from my mistakes, doing this side. I got this guy, and I'm going to put the hub on as well. So 400EX hubs, all the forums I read said that you want to use the 400EX because it'll help with your camber to prevent bump steer. So I had a set laying around. That's essentially why I'm using them. If I don't like it, I have 2 sets of 300EX ones I can throw on. And all the weight's in the front right now. So I'm gonna throw a ratchet strap right quick. All right, I got a strap on there now. Put on the top A-arms, the same thing. Went ahead and put the inserts in. Just a little bit on that inside one again. Not a whole lot, just enough. Much easier. About like that. While I am putting like the nuts on and stuff, I'm not tightening them down up until the very end so I can tighten all of them at the same time, just so I know I didn't miss one or assume that I had tightened it down. The shocks are partially bent or what, but just flipping it around worked. Strange. So gotta get the steering stem in here before we get everything in. Slides into place pretty easy. So you got the bracket on here. There is a rubber bushing that goes in there, sits in the middle of. There's a groove. Don't forget that. You'll have a lot of slop in your steering stem. Get them all started by hand. Zip them in with a 12mm. So now I get to play the awesome game of which tie rods are going to be long enough. And I don't think stock 300EX ones. No, I'm missing quite a bit. That's about straight. That's about, the handlebars are straight there, and I'm kicked in pretty good there. Let me go dig through my tie rods and see what I got. So I did find these 660 tie rods that I had laying around, and the right length and the right bore size, or shank size for the bore. Focus. Right shank size for the bore. No wiggle room or anything like that. I don't like how much threads are showing, but for right now they'll work. I'll do some research, see if 400EX ones are longer or what's a better option. But for right now, I'm going to move to be putting on the rear swing arm here, because I still need to swap in the new axle for that as well. So let's get that up here. Come on. Go in your home. You too good for your home? Nope. Don't forget the spring that goes on this guy. Well, I did this off camera for a couple reasons. One, I didn't know if it was going to work. And really, that's about it. So this is a shock off of a 05 or 04 Polaris Predator. So the Predators had an agreement with Fox to build shocks for them. They're not the best, but this is a remote reservoir. This Raptor 660 01 shock that has the rear reservoir does fit on 300EXs fairly well. I had to lower this one all the way down, and then even then, this is fully extended there. I have it turned down to 1, the lowest setting. I'm hoping once there's some weight, that thing will shrink up and sit normal. If not, I'll just put on the stock one. But you never know if something works until you try. And I didn't have to modify anything. I just had to adjust that shock to get it to fit. Other than that, it bolts right up. It doesn't use a drop linkage like most Yamahas do. So it actually fit on there without any modification or having to add anything. So raised rear end, lowered front end. It's going to be sitting like a old hot rod or something. So, oh, found this piece. Goes right there for the sucks in the air through the frame. I explained that in my last video in part 1. I suck in air through there into the air box here through the frame. That's why that's such a big channel. It's kind of an interesting design, but I guess if it works for them, it worked for them. So I don't think they do it anymore. Put that rubber pad back on there. Okay, I'm thinking wiring harness. So all that needs to go up front there. Something like that there. I don't want to rob too much off of the parts frame that I had, because might have to use it to catch my drift here in the upcoming videos. Really wasn't worried about cleaning anything, because I was going to pull this thing off, but well, you might be wondering why I decided to put the airbox on now, and the answer is, just felt like it. No good answer. Just something easy I can do to make it look like I'm doing something. EX calipers. Remember, when you're working with calipers, make sure that you're putting the bleeder screw here up. Air rises. Air rises. So if you put it down, you'll never.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir.
Alright, so I got the brake lines ran. It's a hose into a hard line. It runs the frame here. The CDI box holds it on, comes down, loops in here. That guy flips down to there, back to the junction block that my hand's in the way of, back to the junction block, then down to the calipers. It's supposed to have a little bracket that holds it on there. The 250Rs have a little hole to be bolted on. Maybe I'll find a bracket or something that I can use. That's what 300EXs have, is just a clamp style. Maybe I'll use that. Who knows? New calipers look pretty good. I hope they actually last. Needed to put that on before I did any more electricals, just to make sure that nothing's in the way. I'm kind of glad I did that in that order, because that helped me know where that goes, and that'll go up here to the coil. That's the junction block for the handlebar controls, headlight, all that stuff. That's the CDI box. Maybe they have two CDI boxes. I really don't get it, because it should have a voltage regulator too. I don't know what that would be. Anyways, I guess we'll figure it out in the end. It's getting there, slowly but surely. Pretty easy. Grab the clamps for them. Well, once you find the right bolts, it goes much faster. Good enough. Obviously, I knew the brakes weren't going to work after that, but it at least started moving the fluid down through the lines and the hoses and the line. See if I have any leaks. See if I have any leaks, and then hopefully help it little gravity bleed action as well. I'll probably pull that off, let it sit for the next few days. So handlebars, headlight on there. That's to the key. Got the master plugged in there. That's the neutral safety switch on the clutch. That hangs out there. That'll go up there. This I need to go find the bracket for. It sits somewhere, like right there or something. Can't quite remember. Maybe that's supposed to be looped up this way and through. Try to switch that around. Ground cable. After I clean up the paint there, make sure it has a good connection. All right, well, let's go check out that engine. Well, we're gonna at least check out this top end to see what kind of build it previously had. So, I mean, just like the other two 300EX videos, I had to pull off a 300EX engine just to get this one on here. So we're gonna be taking off the valve cover, checking to see if there's a different cam in it, and then just pulling off the head right quick. Taking a quick peek, see what the cylinder looks like. Probably won't be going any farther from there. If you're wanting to see a top end teardown and rebuild, please check out the other videos for 300EXs. There's a teardown, and then a quick teardown, and then a kind of a quick and sloppy rebuild as well. That kind of gives you the gist. Let's see what we got here. All right, so for the valve cover here, all the bolts are 10 millimeter. Pop her off. See what we got. Come on, hot cam. There it goes. Well, somebody was definitely inside. It's got gray RTV all the way around it. Looks like a stock one. Clean. Very clean. The bearing looks nice. Looks stock. I don't know. Maybe taking it off. Maybe it'll give me another surprise. Who knows? But to take off the cam, you need to take off the two cam bolts, which are 10 millimeters again. Don't drop that all the way down inside the engine or you will be taking it all the way down. So 10mm, take off that top. If you can't find a 10mm Allen head, use a 10mm bolt and a vice grip. Well, she's got compression, that's for sure. 17mm will rotate the engine over for you, so you can find your other 10mm. Before you pop off the cam gear, take off the tensioner with those two 8mm. Once you pull that gear off, just like that. And since I'm just pulling off the head, I don't want this to go too far down into the engine in case I can't get it back out. So I'm going to grab a quick wire and wrap it around. And don't forget about the cam gear or cam bearing retainer clip. I just keep a roll of this wire around. I do enough engines. You can put a screwdriver through it. The only thing with that is if the screwdriver falls or you got to adjust it or lower it down through, it can get in the way. Alright, so 14mm takes off the 4 caps here. 2 on the outside, the dirty ones, 2 on the inside, the clean ones. Now these do have some torque behind them. So 1/2 inch impact or breaking them by hand. Might have to use a magnet to get them off. Not a lot of room. Looks like Dirt's got these ones compact in there. I'll pull them off later. And then 10mm again. That should be it. I always second guess myself, but yep. All right, we're looking for 30 over and a Seiko piston. Oh, that's a stock. Oh, I'm sorry, carbon buildup. But that is a stock piston. Dang. But that is a stock piston, ladies and gentlemen. Careful. Stock. Flat. Darn. Darn, darn, darn. But it's a runner. It ran good. Sounded good. Didn't smoke. Was healthy. Check out the condition of the cylinder. Make sure there's no lines or pitting. Bottom there. No, still got some cross hatching in it. A little bit of cross hatching. When your cylinder gets worn out, your cross hatching is actually going away. So this one was at least rehoned. Maybe regasketed, but stock build. Not exactly terrible, but at least now we know. That's why I don't pay for unseeable upgrades. You know, if somebody says it's bored over, I don't pay any extra for it. I I give them the price that a stock one would have, because you just never know what you have. Anyways, I'm gonna grab a new gasket kit for it and throw her back together, and probably clean up the valve cover as well. Guys, we are going back together here. So just kind of recap. I know it's like instant for you guys, but this has been a couple weeks for me. But anyways, stock top end. Was told that it might have been built. Obviously not. I am at top dead center on the compression stroke. Remember, on 4-stroke, there's technically 2 top dead centers, but you're 180 degrees out on the other one. Always make sure you're looking at your timing marks. On a 300EX, it's going to be the letter T. It'll line up real nice. Obviously, if you have your head off, you'll be able to tell when you're top dead center there. Piston, cylinder, head is over there, valve cover, stock camshaft. So let's go together. So I did spray the gasket with copper spray first. It just helps seal up a little bit, especially on these air-cooled motors. You gotta run it through the timing chain here. These head gaskets are pretty easy to know which way goes where because of this oval port up here. And then all you gotta really do is make sure that the front timing chain guide is just kind of in its groove, which goes underneath the head gasket. If you put the head gasket on and then try to put the timing gear on, timing chain guide on, you won't be able to get into the groove. So set that in there. Then this one has play to slide back. When you put the head on, you just need to have that back a little bit. All right, so take your head, nice clean surface there. Make sure that you have your oiled out. It can either be in your cylinder or in the head, in the cylinder or in the head. This one has 1 in each. I'm okay with that. It'll help align things. The only thing you got to watch out for is sliding through the gasket. Come on. So run your timing chain up through there. Get all 4 studs started. Kind of walk it back and forth. Make sure your timing chain, your back timing chain guide has some play. That one should be stationary, which it is. All right, so to get your camshaft out, so the gear has the word out right there, and then there's 3 lines. So that indicates that that side needs to be up, and these sides need to be parallel with the surface of the head. Okay, so I was fighting with this because it just seemed like the chain was too short to go up and over the cam gear to go up and over the cam. I must have had the chain bound just a little bit by just kind of rotating it back and forth, trying to work that cam up or the chain up, and I was able to get it. But now you gotta reconfirm your timing marks. Yep, but now I came off of the gear in the case. Great design, Honda. All right, let me work on this, see if I can't get it hooked back on. So once you get that first cam bolt in, that 10 millimeter, rotate it around here for you. Once you get that 10 millimeter in there, rotate it around so you find the other hole. Take the other one, which should obviously be right around where I just had it. Right there. And suck it down. Make sure you put your cam lock on there. That guy there stops your cam from moving back and forth. Okay. Time for a little bit of silicone. Honda does not have a valve cover gasket for these. So just use a line of silicone. Mine's kind of dried up here at the tip, so I can't really do a line. And as long as you don't see anything wrong with your cam plug, put a little bit, just a thin line of silicone on that. You can put that in place. Now, if you're doing it the 3-year-old method of finger painting, make sure you go back. I had a pick around here. Go back and just kind of make sure you don't have any down the oil galleys here. Take it off the top. Okay. Let that set up for just a minute or two. Throw on your washers. Remember, the clean ones are going to go inside the engine, the dirty ones are going to go outside the engine. Oh. Make sure the washer drops below the valves. Just a little tight. And I'm sure there's a torque spec on all of this, but I just go German, Guten tight. I think she's on there. And take your valve cover. I didn't remove the bolts for easy install. If you remove your bolts, just be aware that some of these do have copper ones. You don't want to lose those. That's the 8mm. You have a timing chain tensioner bolt that just doesn't want to come out, and I suggest you take this out before you undo it. Makes it a lot easier. You just grab a different one, because you ain't got time for that. There you guys go. Reassembled. I'm not going to call it rebuilt, but reassembled. De-dirtied just a little bit. I'm going to power wash it when we're all said and done. I should have done it from the get-go. Just kind of slipped my mind a bit. Got to put in the timing plugs. Got the small one here. Then there's a bigger one around here somewhere. It's ready to go back in the bike. Well, I got a lot of the little stuff put on. The fender mounts, front and rear. Went ahead and bled the front brakes. They're still a little spongy. Might need a little bit more work, but they do spin and stop. Got a new rear master cylinder. Was trying to get it all set up just to take it back out to do the axle. And I found that that O-ring is blowing out. That's for that parking brake. It had a stopper, or I'm sorry, a parking brake delete cover on it. And it just filled up with brake fluid and was popping out the side there. There's just a little O-ring there that went bad. So got a new caliper coming. Haven't tried to take off the axle nuts yet to swap out that axle. I did get a new one. And I think that's about it. I mean, I got the air box on, just a bunch of little stuff. I went ahead and polished on that there rear brake lever. I think it came out real nice. I gave it some clear coat so it doesn't rust. Put the battery box on. Like I said, just a bunch of little stuff, but all the stuff that's got to go on to be finished. All right, well, I'm gonna keep working at it, and hopefully just so when we throw the engine in, all we got to do is hook it up, throw on the exhaust, and she'll rip. Well, I think it's time we put a heart back in this thing. Really look like we're getting some progress. Look on my shirt. There we go. Trying to kill me. Well, I'm just a little bit crooked. Oh, so I need to bring the clutch cover up and over that front mount there. This oil line bolt is rubbing on the frame. So let's give that a little bit more space. That's all it was. Goddamn. Tilt it there. That one's in. That one's in. That one needs raised up just a hair. Boom! And I can even get to that line. Might be wondering, why didn't you paint it? Well, painted engine means it's bored over. This one's stock. Obviously, you can't paint it. I just didn't want to. That takes a lot of cleaning to do it the correct way. I didn't really want to, and honestly, that is what I do. If it's bored over, I do paint it. Just my thing. All right, getting closer, getting closer. Did a bunch of work off camera. I did clean up the exhaust pipe. Missed a little bit right there. That is header paint. Good for like 5,000 degrees or something like that. Painted up the muffler as well. I ran out of good paint, used some cheap paint, and well, it's pretty obvious that I did. So that was just from the strap. that bolt hole is cross-threaded, non-existent. So we're gonna have to tap it. I need to clamp that down just a little bit. But other than that, getting pretty close to the first fire up here. Got the battery in there, everything ran. Still need to do the axle. Waiting to run to Harbor Freight to get 2 new pipe wrenches. They're just crazy expensive at the farm store here in town. So, all right, guys, we're about to see the first ground test of this thing. I got it like, I'd say I'm probably 90% back together. I still need to do the rear axle. But with that long rear shock in there, I have it turned all the way down to 1 to where it's super compressible. I have it adjusted all the way up. I just want to see what it looks down sitting down on the ground with all 4 tires. I think they all have enough to give me a good idea of what it's going to look like. To see if we need to go back to that smaller shock. Yeah, raked forward, but the front is lowered with those short shocks on it. Let's see if I can't get those 400 EX shocks in there, and then see how it looks. Well, while I was able to get the 400 EX shocks in the pedal stool, I had to bolt them on front and top and have the lower A-arm unbolted and then use ratchet straps to jack it up, lock it in place. My issue was it put a lot of pressure, constant pressure on the arm. And then I bought 450R tie rods, which are a little bit longer than the 400 EXs. Anyways, they needed to be sucked in more. It was towed in pretty bad, so with the tie rod to the rear, needed to be sucked in to pull that tire back to get it straight. And I didn't have any room. I really don't feel like returning it. I didn't like how it felt in the actual steering stem. So I will probably just have to keep looking for something in between the 300 EX shock and the 400 EX shock. So far, I haven't had any luck. The Predator shock, while it does work, I just think it's wrong for this setup. If I had some like long travel or something in the front, sure, because of how much depth it gets, but I don't. So I'm going to go back to stock on it. While it was cool, it would work for somebody. It's just not right for this particular bike. That's where I'm going to call it for today. I'm going to be back out here tomorrow, and that's going to be right now. All right, update for you guys. I did a lot of work off camera. I just work a lot better that way. So went back to 300 EX shocks. Went ahead and put the 300 EX rear shock back on as well. Got the +2 axle on. New brake caliper because that one was blown out. New sprocket, rear sprocket and front sprocket. Chain was still good, so using it. Really getting there. Threw on a rear grab bar that I found. Yeah, just really going together. I got the new tires mounted, front and rear. Really coming together.